You've discovered MyStar Radio, a riveting podcast where secrets long forgotten are unearthed and brought to light. Be sure to subscribe, share and comment, engaging with the truths that lie within. And now, to your host, Kaz Quantumist.
Subscribe now.
Episode Beyond Sight, Hollywood and Spiritual Warfare. Welcome to MyStar Wisdom, ancient galactic insights for modern earthly souls. I am Kaz, your quantumist, guiding you through the sanctuary of enlightenment. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to subscribe and share to reach others on similar paths of awakening and exploration. By subscribing and sharing, you help spread the wisdom and insights that resonate with those ready to recall or open up to new concepts. Introduction. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Decoding spiritual warfare and the varied levels of invisible forces shaping our world. These initial episodes are designed to establish an important foundation for the more exciting topics we'll explore later. By understanding these seldom discussed truths, we create a reference point impacting every other aspect of our world. Once we grasp these foundational concepts, it becomes easier to comprehend more complex topics with clarity and simplicity. When I encounter something that makes me uncomfortable, I seek to understand the reason instead of letting it control my emotions. If we take the time to understand why some topics make us uncomfortable, we may find that it's rooted in pre-programmed emotions tied to fear. This fear hinders us from illuminating these subjects and discovering the truth. Once I uncover the truth, the fear vanishes and loses its power. Wherever there is darkness, the light cannot be outshined. Even in the darkest corners of the universe, a single burst of light can dissolve all darkness. Light always overpowers darkness. Understanding these complexities is central to our empowerment. Scriptural references to principalities and the spiritual wickedness in high places are coded messages, concealed truths for those with the awareness to decipher, directly pointing to our third-dimensional Earth and the cosmos being influenced by a variety of forces from multi-level and interdimensional planes with untold numbers of distinct agendas that subtly shape our human actions and reality from the hidden shadows. Growing up under the careful watch of my mom and her faith, I quickly learned to avoid all forms of darkness. Now, we confront these shadows not to sensationalize them, as often seen in films like Poltergeist and The Exorcist, but to seek understanding. Through understanding, we learn why it is important to avoid pitfalls, and more importantly, ensure that we stay within the embrace of divine light. I'd planned to move on to another important topic, but I'm guided by my intuition to address this issue today. This episode was prompted by a thought-provoking question from one of our listeners, a person of Christian faith, who wanted to know my understanding and views on why the rituals he learned from his religious practices sometimes worked on certain dark forces but not others. He shared his experience of praying and cleansing his house according to what he learned from his pastor in church, yet he was puzzled why sometimes these practices worked and other times there was no change. Recently, he felt a dark presence within his home despite his efforts. Answering the listener's question, the short answer is that there are various levels of negative entities. This is similar to some movies where a priest assesses a possessed person to determine the severity of the possession. The priest evaluates the strength of the dark spirit and decides whether additional support is needed or if the situation is beyond human help. In these movies, the negative entity either shows fear in the priest's presence or laughs in amusement when the priest presents his symbols or conducts rituals. There are dark forces beneath human authority, though they often trick us into thinking they are more powerful by pretending to be the same as higher density forces. Then, there are also higher dimensional forces that exceed human authority. It's vital not to engage with any negative entities unless absolutely unavoidable. When left with no other option but to face dark attacks, we must do so bravely and without fear, always standing our ground and calling on the higher powers of the divine light for support. Otherwise, let sleeping dogs lie and leave these matters to those with the proper experience. We should always distance ourselves from negative influences, just as we steer clear of muddy paths and oil slicks when wearing brand new shiny shoes. Once marred by grime, the marks are stubborn and difficult to erase, often leaving a faint residue that lingers even after thorough cleaning. Similarly, our surroundings can profoundly affect us, imprinting memories and lessons as persistent as the subtle remnants of a stain. The choices we make today affect our journeys tomorrow. Our surroundings can deeply impact us, much like the enduring impressions formed by our childhood experiences. Speaking of childhood experiences, I recall a haunting incident from when I was around 8 or 9 years old. My dear mother, a devoted religious person, different from being merely spiritual, which often involves a broader, more personal exploration of belief. My dear mother frequently hosted prayer meetings at our home. One particular evening, though my siblings and I were not participating, we were close enough to overhear the events. The church members were intensely praying over an elderly man who was severely ill and struggling with alcoholism, a fact I later learned. His wife had requested the church's prayers to aid him. That night, as the experienced elders of the church sought to cast out a dark entity, the air filled with disturbing sounds. Initially, as I remember the event, there were horrifying childlike cries we assumed came from the man, followed by a final skin-crawling scream. Outside, we could hear chairs on the front veranda being knocked over as the scream seemed to exit the house. This experience profoundly affected me, instilling a fear of the dark that persisted well into my adulthood. For many years, even after burying the memory of that specific incident, I always kept a nightlight or lamp on wherever I slept, without directly linking this habit to my childhood experience. However, it was likely triggered by this and a few other experiences I had as a boy. It wasn't until I read Journey of Souls that the need for a nightlight vanished the very evening I finished the book. Years later, I approached my mother to discuss my concerns about our childhood exposure to such intense spiritual practices. Despite my protests, my mother remained steadfast in her faith, always reassuring me that we were, in her words, under the Lord's protection. Even so, I firmly disagree with having children, or even any average person, exposed to these practices due to the potential dangers. In all cases, even when spiritual elders perform these expulsions, I have always wondered, since energy cannot end, where do those expelled energies go when they leave their host? The answer remains open, and I'm not certain I genuinely care to know. As I mentioned in the We Are the Creators episode, I always focus on the positive in all events, whether they are inherently good or perceived as bad. I believe that all experiences contribute to the expansion of my soul. This scary event from my childhood not only instilled a pearl of deep-seated wisdom and awareness, but also taught me the profound truth of unseen realities. Just because we cannot see something does not mean it does not exist. It underscored the necessity of acknowledging and respecting these hidden dimensions, shaping my understanding and cautious approach to the metaphysical aspects of our world. This confusion is something that even filmmakers grapple with, sometimes aiming to expose the truth, and at other times, unfortunately, there are those who seek to impose their darker visions and hidden negative agendas. We see this dichotomy in portrayals by certain spiritual orders and in films, deepening our exploration into higher and lower dimensional entities. While I have made it a personal practice to avoid watching films centered on possession, such as The Exorcist, Poltergeist, or The Rite, not out of fear but due to lack of interest, I am aware of these representations through conversations. As we explore these representations from the terror in some movies, and as we refer to ancient texts like the Book of Enoch, a book that was removed from many versions of the Bible by the 4th century, but remains a part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church's canon, we aim to clarify the true nature of these forces. We will examine how those aligned with light maintain their vibrance and energy, contrasting sharply with those burdened by darker attachments. By the end of this episode, you'll gain a deeper understanding of these forces and the tools we use to confront them. More importantly, we'll also highlight the positive forces and how they help us combat these dark influences, offering hope and empowerment. Section 1. Hollywood's role: exposing versus imposing dark forces. I lived in Hollywood for over 30 years, and I can tell you, contrary to popular belief, not all of Hollywood promotes a negative agenda. Many films and series expose the dangers of dark forces, often presenting powerful allegories to wake humanity up to these threats. However, more often than not, Hollywood presents conflicting messages about spiritual entities. While some films expose the dangers of dark forces, others romanticize and glamorize them, leading to misconceptions. Positive examples: The Matrix. The red pill versus blue pill analogy serves as a wake-up call to the reality of our world and the manipulation by unseen forces. The leading character, Neo, referred to as the One, represents a savior figure, similar to a high-dimensional soul or a wanderer who awakens to his true potential or mission, helping others who are also awakening. He encourages finding the bravery to see the truth, emphasizing that the choice between the red pill and the blue pill represents the exercise of free will. Neo's journey underscores the importance of seeking truth and understanding the deeper spiritual dynamics at play, as well as the courage required to confront and overcome the control of these forces. Superman, though not directly stated, the implication is that Superman represents a Christ-like figure. He comes to Earth to guide and protect humanity, showcasing humility and service. Star Wars, the battle between the light side and the dark side of the Force, mirrors real spiritual battles, emphasizing the importance of awareness and vigilance. Negative examples: The Vampire Diaries. This series portrays vampires in a romanticized light, which can mislead young minds into believing that aligning with dark forces is glamorous and harmless. Harry Potter series. While immensely popular, it also introduces witchcraft and spells, potentially normalizing these practices to impressionable viewers. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This show takes a darker approach to witchcraft and satanic rituals, further blurring the lines between fantasy and dangerous reality. Pokemon. The concept of pocket demons and battling creatures can instill a trivialized view of spirits and supernatural entities, presenting them as fun and harmless. These narratives can, and absolutely do intentionally, more often than not, mislead viewers, particularly young minds, into underestimating the real dangers of dark practices. It's important to discern the true nature of these portrayals. Hollywood's influence on vulnerable minds. Hollywood and the music industry often glamorize witchcraft and dark forces, subtly influencing the impressionable and the vulnerable. Let it be clear, practicing rituals to call on unseen forces is dangerous and should not be done. Engaging in supernatural practices to counter negativity or project it onto another person is treading on perilous ground. Dark forces often disguise themselves as good and may not be recognized by those using these forces to do their bidding, whether good or bad, until it's too late. Hollywood's influence in particular, but the entertainment industry in general, has popularized the concept of the good witch, further confusing the naive and the unwary. Unassuming movies such as Maleficent portray characters traditionally seen as malevolent in a sympathetic light, blurring the lines between good and evil. There is no safe way to engage with these forces, and we should stay away from such practices. What is often overlooked is that those who use these forces, whether to project negativity or what they perceive as good, will ultimately suffer the consequences. The universal law of cause and effect, or the law of reciprocity, ensures that the energy you put out into the world will return to you. There are many individuals today who ultimately lose themselves, and some pay the ultimate price when they are overtaken by these dark forces. We see them in our society, now tortured and tormented by the extreme negative energies they once wielded. The darkness they embrace eventually consumes them because the devil always comes to collect his due. Those with hidden agendas know that children are our future, and this is why they put such effort into targeting the young minds of today. Their goal is to create a new society for tomorrow, filled with individuals who are unknowingly comfortable with and willing to accept a negatively polarized world order. This is particularly evident in today's music culture, where dark forces and satanic alignments are often idolized. Many young artists claim to align themselves with Lucifer or worship Satan, enticing their followers into these practices. They wear symbols representing alignment with malevolent forces such as devil horns, tails, and other occult imagery, and sometimes perform rituals involving blood in their music videos. They don't know what they do. It is essential to be vigilant and guide young minds to understand the difference between reality and the fantasies portrayed in entertainment. Many engage in these practices without understanding the extremely dangerous powers they are invoking. It's sad to see people, especially in the industry, realize too late that they have been used as puppets to lure more children into dark practices. This is prevalent in TV shows such as The Secret Circle, American Horror Story, Coven, and Charmed, which glamorize witchcraft and attract young, impressionable minds. For instance, one of the world's most famous female artists in her music video is seen walking outside a religious building with water gushing out as she steps on top of the flowing water, suggesting miraculous feats and subtly implying herself equal to Christ's divine-like status. In another scene, her shadow followers, the dancers, wear numbers with dark connotations, symbolizing allegiance to malevolent forces. These visual cues often go unnoticed by the general public, but are clear to those who have the awareness of the dark undertones. The disturbing visuals and messages projected in these videos are troubling enough, but if we take the time to listen to the lyrics of the songs, we would become even more disturbed and in fact shocked by what is being written and said. The lyrics often resemble deleterious invocations, with words repeated by listeners unaware of the cryptic messages they are truly conveying. Other artists start off dressed in angelic white, only to emerge later in sinister clothing and ominous lighting, standing above a grave with their own name, indicating they have sold their soul. These lyrics and imagery being portrayed and imposed on the audience often go unnoticed. However, to those with eyes to see and ears to hear, the true nature of the intentions behind many of today's lyrics, music, and music videos can be identified, and in many cases are pure, wicked evil. Additionally, some artists are seen performing rituals on stage, surrounded by occult symbols, while others include cryptic messages in their lyrics that reference dark entities. The use of inverted crosses, pentagrams, and other sinister imagery is becoming increasingly common. Some even take it a step further by enacting mock sacrifices or engaging in other shocking acts that trivialize the serious nature of these practices. Systematic mind conditioning. Many young people are drawn into these practices without fully understanding the extremely dangerous powers they are invoking. To some, it may seem like a game or a way to rebel, but the consequences can be severe and lasting. These hidden messages are orchestrated by puppeteers with a hidden agenda, seeking to confuse and entice the uninformed. They aim to normalize darkness so thoroughly that what is good becomes unrecognizable. The systematic conditioning towards negative polarization ensures that if a child grows up surrounded by negativity, they will not know the difference between good and evil. Just as children raised in violence often cannot distinguish it as wrong, children exposed only to darkness will not recognize the light. Similarly, a person who grows up suffering abuse will grow to believe that accepting abuse is normal. Ultimately, how would the person be able to recognize that abuse should not be tolerated or accepted? It used to be that associating with malevolent forces was done in the shadows. Today, because of those with dark agendas, knowingly or unknowingly being used by lower vibratory negatively polarized entities or by darker, more influential, higher density malevolent forces, these influences have become more pervasive across various facets of society. This includes not just Hollywood and the entertainment industry, but also government officials, corporate leaders, and even some mentors of prominent religious organizations. Negative influences are glamorized and presented as good when they are of the darkest nature. This is a trick of highly intelligent, deceptive forces. They use media to convince vulnerable people that these things are good when, in fact, they are far from the truth. The goal is to confuse society by infiltrating those with impressionable or susceptible thoughts, particularly the young, knowing that these young minds are the future. Not all of these movies have negative agendas or intentions. However, even if there are no negative alignments behind these movies, there is still no way to counter or avoid the confusion and blurring of lines for minds that are easily influenced. More often than not, seeds of confusion are planted in our society, making it seem acceptable to align oneself with dark forces, which are never beneficial to anyone's spiritual essence or soul. An open door invites both the good and the bad. Choose wisely what you let in. Movies often reflect deeper truths about our reality. The motifs of vampires needing an invitation or dark forces requiring consent highlight the dangers of lowering our defenses. Recognizing these allegories helps us understand the real-world implications and maintain control over our lives. Section 2. Clarifying the levels of spirits. In this section, we will discuss and clarify the levels of spirits from ghosts to high-density beings. We'll identify the confusion between earthbound spirits and higher-density beings such as fallen angels. Additionally, we'll explain why some rituals used by monks, priests, and other spiritual leaders can expel these negative beings who attach themselves to humans, while there is a point where these exorcisms, as noted by the Catholic Church, do not work. understanding spirits and the concept of spirits. Have you ever noticed that alcohol is sometimes called spirits? This term goes beyond just a traditional name for drinks. It suggests that alcohol can lower our vibrational frequencies, making us more open to spiritual influences. That's why environments with heavy drinking might often feel charged with negativity or chaos. So when you see a sign saying spirits in bars or liquor stores, it's a nod to this deeper, more esoteric impact that alcohol can have on our spiritual state. Can I come in? Drinking alcohol or taking drugs is essentially the same as saying yes to the dark forces question, can I come in? Understanding how these portrayals affect our perception is important. Just because we close our eyes when we're in the dark doesn't make the dark go away. Shining a light on it gives us the power to answer questions and solve confusion. It's better to be aware of these realities than remain ignorant, as knowledge is power. Interpreting levels of spiritual entities. Now, let's explore the different levels of spiritual entities, from ghosts to high-density beings. We'll clarify the confusion between earthbound spirits, often called ghosts, and higher-density beings like fallen angels. Earthbound spirits are the souls of deceased individuals who have not transitioned to the next realm. They linger on the earthly plane due to unresolved issues, strong attachments to people or places, or sometimes because they are unaware that they have died. Throughout history, there have been countless stories of spirits haunting specific locations, often because of tragic events or unfinished business. While these spirits are typically benign, they can sometimes cause disturbances. More malevolent entities can cause harm or distress and influence or possess individuals, necessitating exorcism and cleansing rituals. As we discuss these entities, it's key to remember that we are talking about energies, frequencies, and vibrations, aligning with our focus on quantum and metaphysical perspectives. Malevolent entities. Moving up, we encounter demons, which are more malevolent and dangerous than regular earthbound spirits. These entities actively seek to cause harm, possess individuals, and lead souls astray. Demons are often depicted as rebellious spirits that oppose divine order and revel in chaos. For earthbound spirits and demons, traditional exorcism practices involve invoking the power of Christ, using holy water, and employing sacred symbols like the crucifix. These methods are believed to be effective because they tap into divine authority, which has dominion over these spirits. Higher dimensional beings, fallen angels. Now, scrutinizing higher dimensional beings, particularly fallen angels, this is where much confusion arises, especially concerning Lucifer and other significant figures from spiritual texts. According to various theological texts, fallen angels were originally celestial beings who fell from grace due to rebellion against divine authority. Lucifer is the most well-known fallen angel, but others are mentioned in texts like the Book of Enoch. Notable in theological theories, fallen angels include Semjaza, the leader of a group of angels who descended to earth, Azazel, who taught humanity forbidden knowledge, and Gadreel, who led humans astray. Lucifer, known as the light bringer or morning star, retains significant power and influence unlike earthbound spirits. Satan, often conflated with Lucifer, is depicted as the adversary or accuser, encompassing a broader spectrum of evil. Special notation: one of the greatest intentional deceptions imposed by higher density beings is the confusion between Lucifer and Satan. This deception is designed to cloak the true nature of these entities by making it appear that their higher level and lower level influences are one and the same. In reality, Lucifer is a fallen angel from a different dimension, while Satan is an earthbound evil force. This confusion prevents people from understanding their distinct agendas. Lucifer and his fallen companions, originating from higher dimensions, essentially the same as those from heaven, are not affected by the rituals practiced by humans. They wield a different kind of influence and power, seeking to sustain their existence through metaphysical means. These are the entities depicted in movies that only laugh at the sight of a crucifix. For example, Satan, who is ultimately subservient to mankind, seeks to destroy humanity. It is crucial to recognize that we, as divine human creations, have dominion over these lower earthbound evil entities, including Satan and his minions. They often use fear and deception to obscure this truth, but in theory, we humans hold power over them. Understanding these distinctions is crucial for effectively combating their negative influences. Section 3. Theological Tools Against Negative Forces. As we understand these entities better, knowing how various spiritual traditions combat these negative forces is crucial. Various spiritual traditions, including the Catholic Church, have developed a range of tools and rituals to combat negative entities. These rituals can be effective to varying degrees, depending on the nature of the entity involved. Traditional exorcism practices, which often involve invoking divine authority, using holy water, and employing sacred symbols like the crucifix, are generally effective against earthbound spirits and demons. However, higher dimensional beings, such as fallen angels, are not influenced by these methods due to their celestial origins. The Catholic Church's approach. The Catholic Church has recognized these distinctions and has structured its approach accordingly. The Church has a special division of experts known as exorcists who are trained and authorized to perform exorcisms. These exorcists assess individuals purportedly possessed or influenced to determine the level of the entity involved. Based on their analysis, the Church decides whether traditional exorcism methods can be employed or if additional measures are needed. In some cases, the Church acknowledges that the negative force is of such a high density that their standard interventions are ineffective, requiring more specialized approaches, or even conceding that they cannot proceed further. Spiritual practitioners and safety warnings. It's important to note that there are experts beyond priests who perform spirit cleansings. These include shamans, spiritual healers, and mediums specializing in ghost expulsion and house cleansings. However, it is important to emphasize that attempting these rituals without proper training and expertise is extremely dangerous. My advice is don't even consider the idea. For most of us, including myself, I strongly recommend not attempting these practices alone. Leave it to those trained and experienced in dealing with spiritual entities. Trying to do this alone can backfire, leading to greater harm and more significant disturbances. Always seek the assistance of a team of experts, such as the specialized Catholic exorcists or other experienced spiritual practitioners who know what they are doing and can handle the situation safely. Practices in other cultures. Other cultures also have their own methods for dealing with negative entities. For instance, in Buddhism, monks may perform rituals and chants to cleanse spaces of malevolent spirits. In many indigenous traditions, shamans act as intermediaries between the spiritual and physical worlds, conducting ceremonies to expel negative forces and restore harmony. These practices highlight the universal nature of spiritual protection and the diverse approaches developed across cultures to safeguard against negative influences. Seeking guidance from positive higher powers. While understanding negative forces is vital, seeking guidance from higher positive powers is equally important. Engaging in practices like prayer and meditation and connecting with divine or positive spiritual guides can offer protection and clarity. These practices help to align us with the light, offering strength and resilience against dark influences. It's never too late to turn toward the light, even for those who have been misled into the darkness. The path of light is always open, ready to offer healing and hope to those who seek it. Section 4. Identifying individuals plagued by negative entities and those uplifted by positive energies. Armed with this knowledge, it's also important to recognize signs of influence in those around us. Understanding these signs can help us protect ourselves and others. Let's discuss how to identify individuals who might be influenced by negative entities and those uplifted by positive energies. Recognizing signs of negative entity influence. Have you ever noticed that after spending time with certain people, you feel drained, sick, or experience a headache? These negative, low vibrational feelings can last for days, even weeks, even if only through phone conversations. Perhaps you feel unusually tired or out of sorts, even the next day. These could be signs that you have been in the presence of someone influenced by negative entities. Individuals suffering from severe substance abuse, such as methamphetamine or crack cocaine, often show visible signs of being under negative influences. Their skin may appear unhealthy, their bone structure might seem altered, and their eyes often reflect a disturbing emptiness. Unfortunately, illnesses, depression, and substance abuse can lower a person's vibrational frequency, making them more susceptible to negative entities. This drastic change is not just due to the drugs themselves, but also because these substances lower the user's vibrational frequency, making them susceptible to negative entities. Negative entities also prey on individuals riddled with anger, hate, sadness, and depression. These emotions lower a person's vibrational state, creating an entry point for malevolent spirits. Unlike those with higher vibrations, who radiate positivity and light, individuals under the influence of negative entities often seem dark and withdrawn. Besides substance abuse, negative forces can enter through chronic negative emotions, engaging with occult practices without knowledge or protection, and participating in activities like using Ouija boards or attending seances. These practices, often glamorized by media, can open portals to negative entities, making individuals vulnerable to possession or spiritual attacks. It's crucial to be able to identify individuals with negative attachments, because these attachments can become your attachments. For example, spending time in places with low vibrational activities, like graveyards or areas known for immorality, can expose you to these negative influences. Logic supports this understanding, even though it's theoretical. Recognizing signs of positive energies. On the opposite end of the spectrum, individuals who are aligned with positive energies or the divine, regardless of their faith or spiritual background, often exhibit signs of high vibrational states. These people exude vibrancy and youthfulness, creating a positive atmosphere wherever they go. People who maintain a high vibrational state often look younger than their actual age and have a radiant glow about them. Their energy uplifts those around them, and being in their presence feels refreshing and inspiring. These individuals bring an uplifting energy when they enter a room, contrasting sharply with those plagued by negative entities. Positive individuals often carry a sense of calm, peace, and joy. They are not necessarily free from life's challenges, but handle them with grace and resilience. Their presence can be healing and encouraging, fostering a positive environment for those around them. They tend to smile easily and often, spreading warmth and positivity to others. Their laughter is contagious, bringing joy to those nearby. Moreover, positive individuals exude compassion and empathy, making others feel understood and cared for. They radiate confidence without arrogance, inspiring trust and respect. They display patience and tolerance, accepting others as they are. They maintain a sense of gratitude and appreciation for life's blessings and have a lighthearted and playful demeanor, bringing fun and joy to everyday interactions. They encourage and uplift others, often acting as natural motivators and leaders. They are open-minded and curious, always eager to learn and grow. Their consistency and reliability create a sense of stability and trust. Their positive outlook on life helps them to bounce back quickly from setbacks, showing remarkable resilience and adaptability. They're often seen as beacons of hope and positivity in their communities, influencing others to adopt a more positive and loving approach to life. Navigating interactions with negative and positive energies. Sometimes we are forced to work or interact with individuals who are influenced by negative entities. In such environments, it's vital to be aware of these dynamics and take steps to protect your own energy. Maintaining positive vibrations, awareness, recognize the signs of negative energy and avoid being drawn into it. Positive focus, concentrate on maintaining a positive outlook and engaging in activities that uplift your spirit. Spiritual practices, regularly engage in practices that raise your vibration, such as meditation, prayer, or spending time in nature. Healthy boundaries. Set clear boundaries to protect yourself from being overwhelmed by negative energies. Using logical thinking helps us understand and avoid negative influences. Even though much of this is theoretical, the logical process of identifying negative environments and behaviors can guide us in maintaining a higher vibration. The best way to avoid dark forces is to walk and remain in the light. Section 5. The dangers of playing with dark forces. As we continue our journey, it's essential to discuss the real dangers of interacting with dark forces. There's an old saying, if you play with fire, you will get burned. This applies perfectly to those who, often influenced by media, dabble in dark practices or associate with negative entities. Recognizing negative influences in media and society. Have you ever felt uneasy or drained after watching certain movies or shows? This isn't just a coincidence. Media can play a significant role in influencing our spiritual and emotional state. Many movies and TV series romanticize darkness, depicting vampires, witches, and other supernatural beings in an alluring light. The undead seem beautiful and attractive, but the reality is far more sinister. Examples in media. The Vampire Diaries. This series portrays vampires in a romanticized light, which can mislead young minds into believing that aligning with dark forces is glamorous and harmless. Harry Potter series. While immensely popular, it also introduces witchcraft and spells, potentially normalizing these practices to impressionable viewers. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This show takes a darker approach to witchcraft and satanic rituals, further blurring the lines between fantasy and dangerous reality. These narratives can entice individuals to experiment with dark forces, often without understanding the real consequences. Dark forces may initially seem friendly or harmless, but they come with a price, much like the old stories of signing your soul to. The devil, the fun, and games quickly turn into something far more dangerous and uncontrollable. Those who play with fire will get burned. The reality of dark forces. The notion of playing with fire applies to dabbling in dark forces. Those who engage in occult practices, use Ouija boards, or participate in seances may unknowingly invite negative entities into their lives. These dark forces can seem friendly at first, but they eventually come to collect their dues. Consequences of dark practices. Initial attraction. Dark forces often present themselves attractively, offering power, knowledge, or solutions to problems. Over time, these entities drain energy, cause psychological distress, and lead to severe spiritual consequences. Loss of control. Like a vicious animal, dark forces can turn on their hosts when least expected, leading to uncontrollable chaos and destruction in their lives. Earthbound negative entities, demons, versus higher dimensional beings, fallen angels. Earthbound negative entities, demons, are comparable to vampires or werewolves in folklore. They are bound to earth and can be repelled or destroyed by specific symbols and rituals such as crucifixes, holy water, or silver bullets. Just like these creatures, earthbound negative entities are limited in their powers and vulnerable to traditional spiritual tools. Higher dimensional beings, fallen angels, are akin to characters such as General Zod from the Superman series. These beings come from a higher plane and retain their celestial powers. Unlike vampires or werewolves, fallen angels are not affected by earthly symbols or tools like crucifixes or holy water. Detailed comparison. Origins and nature. Vampires, werewolves, earthbound demons, vulnerable to crucifixes, holy water, and silver bullets, similar to how earthbound demons can be repelled and exorcised using traditional spiritual practices. Vampires, werewolves, earthbound demons focus on direct harm and energy. Drainage, targeting individuals personally, much like earthbound demons. Lex Luthor, earthbound evil, represents human earthbound malevolence. Similar to the devil, he is easier to overcome by both Superman and humans. However, just as it would be difficult or even impossible for a human to overcome General Zod, it is equally challenging to confront higher dimensional beings like Lucifer. General Zod, fallen angels, originates from Krypton, a higher dimensional realm with advanced abilities. He represents beings with celestial origins and advanced capabilities. Response to traditional tools. General Zod, fallen angels, unaffected by earthly weapons, similar to how fallen angels are immune to traditional exorcism tools. Agendas and methods. General Zod, fallen angels, seeks large-scale domination, manipulating humanity on a broader scale, akin to how fallen angels aim for broader corruption and manipulation. Conclusion. Empowering ourselves against negative forces. We've explored the nature of spiritual entities, their portrayals in media, and the tools for protection. As we conclude, it's essential to emphasize that while dark forces exist, we are far from powerless. The best defense against these forces is awareness, positivity, and maintaining a high vibrational state. Let's discuss how we can overcome higher density negative entities and ensure we remain protected. Awareness is key. The first step in combating negative forces is being aware of their existence. Understanding that these entities operate on frequencies and energies helps us recognize their influence. By avoiding negativity and those inclined towards it, we can protect our spiritual well-being. Protection by benevolent beings. Remember, we are also protected by positive and benevolent beings. Maintaining awareness of this protection is crucial. Prayer and meditation serve as mental reminders to stay vigilant and aware of the pitfalls around us. These practices reinforce our spiritual defenses and keep our minds focused on the positive. Ignorance is the darkness where malevolent forces thrive. Dominion over earthbound entities. As we've discussed, we hold dominion over earthbound entities by maintaining a high vibrational state. This not only involves fostering positive environments, but also engaging in activities that elevate our spiritual and emotional well-being. Remember, our dominion is asserted through our vibrational frequency. By keeping it high, we naturally repel lower vibrational energies and entities. Maintaining high vibrations, healthy lifestyle, regular sleep, exercise, and a nutritious diet are fundamental. Positive influences: surround yourself with uplifting music, laughter, and positive people. Mindset: a healthy mindset is crucial. Avoiding negative thoughts and focusing on the positive keeps your vibrations high. Importance of light for survival and flourishing. On a quantum level, most living organisms require light to survive and flourish. For example, plants need sunlight for photosynthesis, which is essential for their growth and for producing oxygen. Many animals, including humans, have biological rhythms regulated by light, influencing sleep patterns, mood, and overall health. No living thing survives and flourishes within the dark, certainly not us humans. This fundamental need for light underscores the importance of seeking positivity and enlightenment in our spiritual and everyday lives. The role of fear. Fear is a favorite tool of negative entities. Confusion and fear combined are their best weapons. However, by staying informed and aware, we can diminish the power fear holds over us. Knowledge is power. This podcast aims to inform, not to create fear. By understanding what we are dealing with, we gain power over it. Shining a light on the unknown removes the fear associated with it. Special warning: for those considering dabbling in dark practices, understand the risks involved. These forces are not to be played with. Stay away from people who engage in such activities. Knowing about these forces and their methods gives you a significant advantage. The best strategy is to avoid engaging with negative entities and those who do. Community. Stay connected with positive, like-minded individuals who uplift and support you. True power comes from aligning with the divine, not from courting darkness. We are inherently strong and capable. Equipped with this knowledge, we are empowered and resilient. Our discussions today have enhanced your understanding, helping you navigate through life with confidence and positivity. Thank you for joining us on this voyage of enlightenment. If today's insights resonated with you and you believe they could illuminate others, please share our cosmic journey. Reflect on the importance of knowledge and vigilance in harnessing our divine given power while honoring the divine principles that guide us. We are beings of immense power, yet our strength is maximized when we act in accordance with these divine principles. Armed with awareness and guided by the light of truth, we explore the complexities of the cosmos, mindful of the sacred boundaries that govern our existence. Stay attuned as we continue to uncover the mysteries of the cosmos. Continue to seek, grow, and emit your radiant light of truth, love, and goodness. Stay informed, stay uplifted, and protect your spiritual well-being. Remember, we are all part of this vast universe, interconnected in our quest for understanding and wisdom. As we honor the principles set before us, let us walk our paths with both humility and confidence. I am your star. You are my star. We are all one. Until next time, this is Kaz, your quantumist at MyStar Wisdom, guiding you toward the celestial harmony that unites us all.
Numbers 11:17. He asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all these people on me?" Kaz Quantumist. 17. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take some of the power of the Spirit that is on you and put it on them. They will share the burden of the people with you, so that you will not have to carry it alone. Make sure to subscribe, share, and engage in the comments as we explore the truths that lie within.